great day for the Chungs, and honestly, it's a great day for American justice. Commerce.
It was a legal battle that pitted a dry cleaner against an angry customer. That customer wanted $54 million, all over a lost pair of pants. Today, a D.C. judge ruled that Roy Pearson is not entitled to any compensation whatsoever. Instead, he's been ordered to cover the defendant's court costs. Stephen Cheetah joins us now with reaction to the resolution of a case that has captured international attention. Stephen?
Leon, in a lengthy and detailed ruling, Judge Judith Bartnoff reputes Roy Pearson, the man who wanted $54 million from custom dry cleaners for a lost pair of pants. A phalanx of photographers, some from around the globe, descended on custom cleaners after the ruling in the pantsuit.
She's happy with the results, very happy, pleased, and with the results today.
The judge delivered a stinging assessment of Roy Pearson's legal arguments. She says he never proved the pants the Chungs say are his are not his. She also shot holes in his argument. Satisfaction guaranteed means anyone who is not satisfied is entitled to big bucks in compensation.
It's a great day for the Chungs, and honestly, it's a great day for American justice.
The judge said satisfaction guaranteed means replacement for what the item is worth, not unreasonable demands. The Chungs offered Pearson $12,000 to settle, but he continued with his quest. At one point, he demanded $67 million on behalf of all city residents who potentially could get bad service from custom cleaners. But he wanted the money for himself.
But Mr. Pearson might take the opportunity to appeal, and in fact, we expect he could.
The judge ordered Pearson to pay court costs for filing fees and copies, which could reach $5,000. But the Chungs racked up legal bills in excess of $100,000.
Yes, it's been such a hard past 2 years. It's been such a difficult time. All of that emotionally came back to her today.
Judge Bartnoff will rule later on whether to require Pearson to pay the Chungs' legal bills. As for Pearson, he is an administrative law judge whose term has expired. He is currently awaiting word on whether or not he will be reappointed. Reporting live, Stephen Cheetah, ABC 7 News.
Thank you, Stephen. This was an emotional day in Canton, Ohio, where Bobby Cutts Jr. faced a judge. Cutts is accused of killing his pregnant girlfriend, 26-year-old Jessie Davis. Her disappearance led to a nationwide search. Her body was found Saturday in a national park, and today Cutts and a co-defendant were in court. Scott Thuman's been monitoring this all day. He joins us now live from the newsroom. Scott?
Maureen, a rather dramatic day. As soon as Cutts appeared, Jessie Davis's mother stood up in court. She wanted to look him in the eye, she said, as if to make him understand what he has done to her family and the community. The judge also sent a message. Used to typically putting other people behind bars, today Bobby Cutts Jr. found himself in that position, appearing before a judge accused of killing Jessie Davis and her unborn child and then hiding her body.
To the state of Ohio versus Bobby Lee Cutts Jr.
The bond set at $5 million.
I almost started cheering at $5 million, wishing it would have been $10 million.
The married Ohio police officer has one child with Jessie Davis and is believed to be responsible for this pregnancy as well. Investigators think he killed Davis inside her home and may have had some sort of help from this woman, Maisha Farrell, whose apartment police searched this weekend.
So they start bringing out, multiple bottles of bleach. She doesn't even have a washer and dryer down there.
State of Ohio versus Maisha.
She now faces obstruction of justice charges and a $500,000 bond. Meanwhile, more people are speaking out about Cutts. An ex-girlfriend says he has a violent history.
There were instances when he pinned me down and held me against my will.
And Cutts has a checkered past on the police force. In 2003, he temporarily lost his job after his weapon was found in the possession of a drug dealer.
And God is the ultimate judge of Mr. Cutts, and I'm going to leave it at that.
In the meantime, investigators are being very tight-lipped, not saying how they believe Davis was killed. Cutts and Farrell will be back in court next week. Live in the newsroom, Scott Thuman, ABC 7 News.
All right, thanks, Scott. Authorities are investigating whether a body found near Assateague is that of a 19-year-old Lanham man who was swept away in Ocean City last week. Lee Paul Headley, his brother, and his cousin were all caught in a rip current near 31st Street on June 17th. The lifeguard rescued two of those men but lost sight of Headley, who presumably drowned. An autopsy will be performed, and positive identification is still pending.
Police have found a 3-year-old boy whose disappearance triggered an Amber Alert. Police in Baltimore say the toddler was taken from Baltimore by a friend of the boy's mother without her permission. Investigators say 38-year-old Robert Douglas took the child after a fight with the mother. The boy was returned home this morning, and Douglas was taken into custody. The child was taken to the hospital as a precaution, but appears to be unharmed.
The search is on tonight for a man accused of raping an 8-year-old girl. Prince William authorities say the 43-year-old suspect knows that they're after him. The suspect lives in Dale City. Julie Parker's learned much more about the suspect. She joins us now live from that area. She's got more new details for us now. Julie?
Leon Kwame Boateng lives here in the Dale Forest Apartments. His car, right behind that cab, is still parked out front, but his roommate and a co-worker say they haven't seen him in days. A large brown teddy bear rests on 43-year-old Kwame Boateng's bed. There's another stuffed bear in his living room, and 2 more in back of his Nissan Altima. Disturbing images in the case of a man wanted for raping an 8-year-old girl.
I hate it, so I don't bother him. In fact, if I see him, I'll call police for him.
George Bonsu says he hasn't seen his roommate in nearly a week. Bonsu works 2 jobs and says the two rarely cross paths. Police executed a search warrant on their Westminster Lane apartment this weekend. They say Boateng befriended his young victim's family.
This gentleman had built up rapport with the family. They felt comfortable with him. So it isn't like this is a stranger type case where someone's getting grabbed off the road.
Investigators say Boateng lured the victim into his apartment Friday by telling her he had old family pictures of her. However, the abuse is alleged to have started when the girl was 6.
It's crazy to me. They're grown men. Why you want to do that to a little kid?
Boateng works for a Manassas laundry company. His roommate says he distributed the linens at Potomac Hospital. Boateng is on the schedule for this week, but company officials would only tell us they're cooperating with the investigation.
This is the
Pictures of Boateng's wife and young daughter, who live in Ghana, hang on his living room wall. Boateng is also from Ghana, but police believe he is still in our area. Live in Dale City, Julie Parker, ABC 7 News.
Thanks, Julie. Virginia Tech continues to be showered with gifts after the shootings in April that left 33 people dead. The school has received letters, quilts, banners, and even a message engraved on a 150-pound rock from the Mississippi River. Volunteers are packing up those gifts and putting them in storage for cataloging. Howard and Anne Arundel County Police are reconsidering a policy that calls on officers to step out of their vehicles to catch speeders. The evaluation of the practice is being examined after the death of a Howard County police officer. Officer Scott Wheeler died last week while on traffic duty when a car hit him. Both county police departments say they're conducting thorough investigations of the traffic enforcement policy.
An unattended citronella candle is to blame for a house fire in Fairfax Saturday. The home located in the 4800 block of Oakcrest Drive was a total loss. The damage estimated at $825,000. 2 adults and 7 children have been displaced. 2 cats also went missing following that fire. The Red Cross is assisting that family now. A hiker in Shenandoah National Park had to be rescued over the weekend. He injured his leg near the summit of Old Rag Mountain Saturday. He needed a helicopter airlift to get out of there. The United States Park Police responded at approximately 8:30 p.m. to assist National Park Service rangers to the rescue. They hoisted the injured hiker and transported him off to a hospital.
Hundreds of union workers at the Ingleside nursing home blocked traffic on Military Road in Northwest D.C. today. They were protesting the nursing home's management team, which they say refuses to recognize the union rights of the home's workers. Workers also say the management has threatened and coerced employees who support the union. Police were on the scene to direct traffic around the protest.
Traffic's backed up on Interstate 270 northbound in Rockville after a serious car crash there. Authorities say a vehicle crashed into a fixed object in the express lanes, and that just prior to the Montgomery Avenue exit. It took rescue crews about 20 minutes to free the victim, who did suffer some life-threatening injuries. The cause of that crash is under investigation now.
A major project on a local roadway is set to get underway. The work will take place along Foxhall Road in Northwest D.C. It will be going on for about a year. Richard Reeve has the latest on the plan.
Just ask anyone who drives it.
The road is terrible, terrible. Like, you can feel your car just screaming in pain. It's really bad.
Foxhole Road, with its aging asphalt and pitted potholes, is a car's worst nightmare.
I have lost not only hubcaps, but I've had wheels bent and flat tires on that road.
But there are signs of warning and signs of change just off the cracked sidewalks of this rutted road.
New sidewalks, curbs, gutters, wheelchair ramps, some new traffic signals, signs, and striping. So it's really more than just a repaving.
Starting in about a week, the DOT is fixing Foxhole between Nebraska Avenue and Canal Road, about 2 miles.
It's going to be really awful for the next year, I think, driving on it. Because, I mean, it's already busy, so I can't even imagine with one lane.
Oh yeah, that's the flip side. The project means only one lane of traffic for 17,000 vehicles a day.
Nobody likes road construction, and everybody's aggravated when the signs are up, the workmen are out.
And did we say it'll take a year? And it won't be cheap, $4 million. At least for now, most drivers think it's worth it.
There's traffic everywhere, so one lane is going to be really difficult, but it's pretty necessary.
Now, the crews will be working from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. They say they didn't want to disturb folks at night. The actual digging won't begin until next week, but the DOT is putting out word you should avoid this area. Live from Northwest Washington, Richard Reeve, ABC 7 News.
All right, thanks, Rich. Well, the 4th of July is just a little over a week away, and Montgomery County authorities are warning against lighting your own fireworks. They're illegal in the county. Officials are also staging the county's annual fireworks amnesty program. Anyone in the county can trade illegal fireworks in for a free ticket to the Six Flags America theme park with no questions asked. Injuries from fireworks increase around this time every year.
The 2 weeks before and the 2 weeks after the 4th of July are the most dangerous times for fireworks injuries.
Last year, more than 9,000 people nationwide were injured from consumer fireworks. Nearly half of the injuries occurred to kids under the age of 14, too. Most injuries to the hands, fingers, face, and eyes. So turn them in, folks. Be careful.
You don't want to look like that guy.
Sure don't.
Playing around with fireworks. Time now for a check on how our weather is shaping up for tonight.
See if we get any fireworks weather-wise here. Meteorologist Joe Whitty is tracking the latest developments. Joe, how's it look out there?
We do have some things firing up off to the west. Go about 70 miles as the crow flies off to the west, and just 10 miles south of Winchester with our live Super Doppler radar. And you can see some thunderstorm activity. Right now, it is slowly drifting to the just a little bit south of east direction. And right now, Rio, Wardensville, and Zepp are getting hit by some heavy rains. Notice it's not moving very quickly, so some of those areas will get a real soaking, and folks in the Winchester area and Strasburg area can expect some rain showers here probably within the next half hour or so. Take another look with our Viper radar. We get a long distance view further off to the west. More showers and thunderstorms. That's because we've got lots of tropical air over the eastern third of the country. And our weather bug confirms it's been hot. This hot weather and very humid conditions helping to fire off the thunderstorm activity. High today, Blue Ridge Center, 93 degrees, and dew points are in the mid-60s, indication some very tropical air. Gaithersburg, 90 degrees with a high of 90, and we have winds light out of the west at only 3 miles an hour. It's 86 degrees at Oxon Hill after a morning low of only 72 degrees. Ashburn now 92, it feels like 93, and Clarksville, 91 degrees. So very tropical air. How long is this heat wave going to last? We'll talk about an extended mini heat wave and when it's going to end in a few minutes. We'll see you then.
Crash landing. 2 suspects take off in a stolen car, and unfortunately, an innocent victim gets in the way. Also, the FDA says artificial sweeteners are safe, but why does one group want products made with them pulled from the shelves? Plus, close call. A man perched on a burning building when the unthinkable happens. And California burning. Hundreds of buildings destroyed, thousands evacuated. Now a state of emergency in Lake Tahoe. Tonight, the fight against a raging wildfire. Next on ABC 7 News at 5. A state of emergency tonight in California. Firefighters are struggling to get a huge wildfire there under control. Hundreds of homes have been destroyed. Thousands of acres are up in flames near Lake Tahoe now. About 1,000 people have been forced to evacuate there as flames cause massive damage. Carla Wall is live now with the latest on this developing story. Carla, what's going on out there?
Leanna, I want to show you. You can see how hot this fire burned just by looking at the ruins behind me. Flames leaping 100 feet into the air raced through this Lake Tahoe neighborhood, destroying hundreds of homes. Smoldering remains are all that's left of this Lake Tahoe neighborhood. A chimney here, a bicycle there. Residents say it was a monster of a fire that tore through this popular resort. In a matter of hours, it destroyed more than 200 homes. Pat LaValle's garage is all that's left standing.
Just surreal. I'm in a state of shock and disillusion.
Hundreds were forced to flee the wall of flames, pushed by 35-mile-an-hour winds and fueled by unusually dry brush. The fire burnt through entire neighborhoods. Firefighters said in 20 years they'd never seen anything like it. Fortunately, cooler, calmer air overnight sapped the fire of some of its fury.
At this point, we still have a lot of active fire, and the goal for the firemen today are to maintain the lines that they've established from last night.
Reinforcements have arrived. More than 700 firefighters are now on the line, putting out hot spots. Lighter winds also are working in the firefighters' favor, pushing the blaze back on itself, back where there's little left to destroy.
The guy upstairs will watch out for me, and you gain a perspective and you move forward. I'm unscathed, I'm not burnt. I've lost a materialistic thing, and you stand up and you be strong and you go forward with your heart broken.
The cause of the fire is under investigation, but the drought certainly contributed to the extent of the devastation, and the dryness will continue to be a problem throughout the summer. Live in Lake Tahoe, I'm Carla Wohl, ABC News. Back to you, Maureen.
What a scene. Thank you, Carla. Canadians are cleaning up after a series of tornadoes touched down in Manitoba province. As many as 5 twisters caused widespread destruction, and you could see how big they were. Storm chasers were able to videotape some of the twisters, which damaged the roof of a police station, a fire station, and houses. Bev and Jim Flannery weren't home when the twister hit their farm, but returned to find decades of work destroyed.
Sad to see it all gone and your whole yard wrecked. But it could have been worse. We could have been, you know, in the trailer and got killed.
And Canadian forecasters say this could be just the beginning of a wild storm season. They say they're expecting more tornadoes because of the hot, humid weather. Severe weather also caused damage in Charlotte, North Carolina. Powerful thunderstorms swept through that area Sunday night, bringing down power lines and trees. The storms brought lightning, heavy rain, and high winds. In Gaston County, a building collapsed, trapping vehicles in the debris, but there were no reports of injuries.
We've been very, very fortunate here. Long stretch here without any real heavy activity like that, but you say there are some things popping up on the radar now.
We have some big, powerful thunderstorms about 70 miles off to the west, and at the rate they're moving eastward, we could see something around here around 10 o'clock. May not be those, it may be some others that pop up here and there, but we'll have to keep a sharp eye on those.
All right, you do that.
And we'll certainly will. In fact, we do that with our
live Super Doppler radar, and you can see once again around the Winchester area, just to the west of I-81, very strong thunderstorms, lots of lightning in these thunderstorms, and they are drifting towards the east at about 10 miles an hour. So if these make it all the way to the district, it'll be about 10 o'clock tonight. However, these may die down. Others may form ahead or even behind this system. Notice the little cluster forming just to the northeast of Winchester. Boom, all of a sudden they pop up, and there you are with a local heavy downpour. Now, these are not moving very quickly, so you can see when it rains, it pours. And this could be the case later on tonight. We'll keep a sharp eye, and this is likely to be the situation for the next couple of days as thunderstorms pop up with this very tropical air. Let's take a look at some of our weather bug sites and see what we have. Hazy day today, 87 degrees at Sterling. Feels like 91 degrees because of the humidity. It's not the heat, it's the humidity, right? Dew points in the 70s, and that says very tropical air right from the Gulf of Mexico. Bristow, 86 degrees for a high, and here's some other highs. Mercerburg, way up north, 83 degrees. Salisbury, 80 degrees. A little cooling breeze from the Chesapeake probably there. And off to the northwest, we see Hancock, 81 degrees. Cooler in the mountain country, but for most of us, we're in the upper 80s with very tropical conditions. Let's go upstairs and take a look at what we have with our other graphic system. We can see that this is lightning week, everybody. How hot is lightning? Typically 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 10 times hotter than the sun. And 100 million volts is not impossible with a lightning bolt. Something to be avoided for sure. Once again, temperatures are in the upper 80s. It feels like the 90s. Feels more like Florida in our area because of the very tropical air that we have. Lots of cloudiness extending all the way from New York, all the way back through and past West Virginia. There's that one cluster of showers and thunderstorms. Back behind, we can see there are even more in this very tropical air popping up over portions of Kentucky and Tennessee. So we're in that heat wave after a beautiful weekend. And here's one reason why. Moisture coming all the way from the Gulf of Mexico. This is going to stay hot Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And then finally by Friday, we think it's going to cool down. So tomorrow, 71 degrees when you wake up, very humid, 90 degrees by the afternoon, hot and humid. And that's going to be the story for the next 4 days. As you can see in the 7-day forecast, we'll be in the low 90s on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and hopefully that cool front will move on through later on Thursday and give us a break by Friday and hopefully set a stage for another beautiful weekend. Gosh, this last weekend was so great, wasn't it? Low humidity. It was just fabulous. Yes.
We're looking forward to another one.
Looks promising right now on that 7-day.
Thank you. And speaking of summer and the hot weather, this year the D.C. Department of Parks and Recreation Summer Fun did not kick off with the mayoral cannonball splash. Mayor Adrian Fenty did not jump into the Northeast pool the way former Mayor Anthony Williams did almost every year. Fenty did blow a whistle for a group of scuba divers to jump in the water, and AmeriGroup donated $40,000 so all D.C. children can swim for free this summer.
Do you think Mayor Fenty just doesn't have trunks? Do you think that's the reason?
He's a runner. I know he's a runner.
He's running out of jump. Yeah. Okay. Still ahead here on ABC 7 News at 5. Growing pains for people living near a local hospital. Find out why they're fighting the hospital's plans to expand.
A local community honors 2 hometown soldiers killed in the line of duty in Iraq. Tonight, hear from their families about this tribute.
And a family reunion ends in tragedy. Find out what's being blamed for this deadly crash. That's next here on ABC 7 News at 5. A family reunion ended in tragedy this morning when a bus crashed on an interstate in southern Kentucky, killing 1 person. 66 others were hurt, including 4 who suffered some critical injuries. Police say that it appears that the driver dozed off. The bus veered off the right side of the highway, struck a concrete culvert, and then slammed into a concrete bridge pillar. The family was heading back to Alabama after a family reunion in Buffalo, New York.
2 adults and a 5-year-old child died in a 7-car accident on the Pennsylvania Turnpike on Saturday. Authorities say a FedEx truck crashed into 6 vehicles in the westbound lanes of the Turnpike. This was near the Lebanon-Lancaster exit. The truck and 4 vehicles caught on fire. The westbound lanes of the Turnpike between Reading and Harrisburg were closed for more than 9 hours. Police haven't yet decided whether charges should be filed.
A new U.S. system will require visitors coming here from Europe to provide 10 digital fingerprints to get through immigration controls. It's part of upgrades at all U.S. ports, airports, and border crossings. An initial pilot project at 10 major U.S. airports is going to be launched in late 2007. The director for this U.S. visit program says it'll provide a 100% identity match and help target terrorists and criminals.
So we have about 3.5 million biometric sets of information in our system on those categories of individuals who we would want to prevent from coming to the United States.
Currently, every non-U.S. citizen traveling to the U.S. has to provide 2 index fingerprints and a facial photograph.
Coming up on ABC 7 News at 5, why do some researchers want a popular sweetener pulled off the market? Find out why they say it could be putting people at risk.
Some neighbors are fighting plans to expand a local hospital. You'll hear their concerns here straight ahead.
And police say teenagers in a stolen car went on a wild ride that sent a bystander to the hospital. That's next on ABC 7 News at 5.
You're watching ABC 7 News at 5 on your side.
Police are on the lookout tonight for teenage suspects accused of stealing a car.
Investigators say these teens took a car on a wild ride, crashing into another driver in southeast Washington. Natasha Barrett live now with more on how all of this ended. Natasha, tell us about it.
Well, Leon, it all ended right here. This is Alabama Avenue, and further down the street, it's hard to see right now, but in the middle of the street, they left behind a lot of skid marks.
One of these cars may have been stolen in Bowie, Maryland. The other hit by the 2 teenagers driving, police say speeding down Alabama Avenue Southeast.
I heard something say, boom. I looked at my window, and this
two guys jumped out of the car, started running down the street.
Cheryl Washington says she was sleeping on her couch.
I saw the car coming up on my lawn.
Inside that car, a man leaving the library across the street. Cheryl stayed with him until paramedics came, airlifting him to the hospital. Cheryl said the man couldn't talk, but he could move his fingers.
It's horrible. I mean, it was horrific, and then I was terrified because the guy was laying in the car and he couldn't move.
Two teenagers ran down the street, leaving the car they were driving running. That car also hit this parked car.
They don't have license, they don't have insurance.
Then people were cleaning out glass from the street when a woman driving on the same street slammed into this tree. Police say she had a medical problem.
I said, oh my God, what's going on?
And the man who was hurt in that wreck, he's still in the hospital. Police say he has a broken pelvis. And police at this hour say they're still looking for those two teenagers. Live in Southeast D.C., Natasha Barrett, ABC 7 News.
Thanks, Natasha. A local hospital has plans to expand, but not everyone is happy about them. Some neighbors living around Suburban Hospital in Bethesda are worried about the changes that could be coming to their community. Montgomery County Bureau Chief Greta Cruz is live at Suburban with the details. Greta, what is the plan?
Well, Maureen, Suburban Hospital used to be just a little old community hospital, but it's gone way beyond that. Today, it is the only level 2 trauma center in Montgomery County. It partners with NIH, which is just across the street. But its plans to expand are being met with opposition from those who say that Suburban has gotten too big for its britches. For 63 years, Suburban Hospital has been serving Montgomery County and Northwest D.C., now home to some 1 million people. People like Bethesda resident Elaine Kaufman.
And it's really improved terrifically over the years. I think it's a really first-rate hospital now.
Suburban's now planning a $135 million expansion to include more surgical units, more private patient rooms, and more parking.
I think we're excited about having a facility that will be adequately sized to serve the healthcare needs of the region.
But not everyone's excited. Many in the Huntington Terrace neighborhood behind the hospital see an end to their quiet wooded community. They call a possible 8-story parking garage an eyesore and oppose plans to shut down part of Lincoln Street in order to connect the hospital with the garage and new offices. Houses on Lincoln, most already owned by Suburban, would be demolished.
People want livable communities. They don't want 19 houses torn down for surface parking and for a huge parking garage.
The hospital says parking underneath the hospital would be dangerous and says residents too will benefit from a better facility. But others see more traffic, noise, and concrete. Another Rockville Pike.
Oh, I love this community. It's my home. It'd be sad, though, because it would destroy the community.
Now, the hospital says it is meeting with residents to try to work things out, but that's one of the problems. The plans are so vague right now, it's hard to pinpoint exactly what they're planning to do, and that has residents worried. Final plans are expected to go to the county for approval by the end of the summer. Live in Bethesda, Maryland, Greta Cruz, ABC 7 News.
Thank you, Greta. Around the region this evening, Maryland State Police have charged a second person with the murder of a Glen Burnie man. Police found the body of Philip Airy in the trunk of a burning car in Linthicum last Wednesday. Authorities arrested 18-year-old Robert Speak yesterday in South Baltimore. He's accused now of first and second-degree murder. Suspect Michael Martin's also facing charges. Police say the suspects killed the victim during a fight. Customers of the Richmond Times-Dispatch got their newspaper a little later than usual because of a fire at a paper printing plant. Some employees at the Hanover County, Virginia plant say they heard an explosion before the fire broke out on Saturday night. At least 50 people were evacuated while crews got in there and got the flames under control. Firefighters say one of the plant's printing presses burst into flames. They're still trying to determine exactly what caused the explosion there. And D.C. officials are spending some big money to help Mayor Adrian Fenty's school takeover plan succeed. The city is spending $4 million for consultants from several restructuring companies to help them analyze the school system this summer. Authorities say their expertise will help fix the problems here. Critics say officials have brought in consultants before with little results.
The National Harbor Project in Prince George's County wants to ensure top-notch customer service. So with a $1 million grant from the developers of the resort, Prince George's Community College has recently opened a hospitality and tourism institute. Their program offers a wide range of courses in every aspect of the tourism industry: hospitality, management, food and beverage service. And the program is designed to prepare students for positions from entry-level to executive. time for a check on the traffic situation. Rich Hunter is here with details.
Good evening, Maureen. Right now we're looking at Beltway River Road in Bethesda. Traffic coming towards you is the outer loop. Delays there beginning near the 270 spur, continue off and on into Tyson's. Early afternoon accident. The Legion Bridge, the culprit there. We've had a tough time recovering on the inner loop side. Traffic going away. Accident was just beyond River Road before you get up to the exit for the 270 spur. For a while that tied up the left side of the roadway. That is cleared as well, but delays coming out of Tyson's corner. Top side, we're actually in better shape than usual near Connecticut Avenue. On the outer loop, though, was an early afternoon crash on 270 northbound. Actually, two of them, one near Montrose Road, one near 28 in Rockville. Both of those are cleared, but obviously still a struggle out of Silver Spring getting to 270. Interloop much better than usual, headed towards Silver Spring at this hour. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Rich. Coming up on ABC 7 News at 5, a local post office is being renamed to pay tribute to two local men who died in the line of duty. Tonight, their families react to this honor.
Plus, an all-star cast of women share the big screen. Arch Campbell has a preview of Evening next on ABC 7 News at 5.
And they say their family dog didn't have to die. Coming up at 6, the Charles County Sheriff's Office announces whether its deputy was justified in shooting and killing a family's German Shepherd. Some amazing actresses share the screen in a new film.
You're going to like this film, I know.
You think so?
Arch Campbell is here with a preview of Evening. Arch, will Leon like this?
I'm taking Leon personally as soon as it opens.
Oh, dear God.
I'll give you a report on that.
Dear God.
Well, brace yourself for the next wave of summer blockbusters, for Die Hard, for Transformers, for Harry Potter. But first, make some space for a quiet movie called Evening. It opens Friday, has one of the year's best casts, including Vanessa Redgrave, Meryl Streep, and Claire Danes.
Sweetheart, how you feeling?
Vanessa Redgrave reviews her life in Evening as her daughters, Toni Collette and Natasha Richardson, puzzle over her deathbed remembrances.
I don't think that you're in love with Carl.
Evening takes us back decades for the weekend of an unhappy wedding. Meryl Streep's daughter, Mamie Gummer, plays the bride, one of several mother-daughter pairings made more powerful when Streep returns for a final visit with Redgrave.
Your mother had a whole life. She sang at my wedding. She raised two girls. We can't know everything she did.
No explosions, no car chases, only powerful story and acting. Evening, 3.5 stars. A box office surprise, Stephen King's new thriller 1408, starring John Cusack, pulled the weekend's second biggest audience. Pretty good for a chiller thriller about a haunted hotel room.
You gotta take him.
Coming to DVD Tuesday, Mark Wahlberg's Shooter, a patriot frame, takes his time with revenge. And Phantom of the Opera begins a lavish summer run at Kennedy Center, the timeless story of an ugly guy who falls for a chorus girl. Have a good week. And it's a story close to my own heart. I'll be back Thursday with a review of Bruce Willis in Live Free or Die Hard. And I don't have to talk Leon into going to see.
Not that one. No, I'm with you on that one.
Fine.
I'll buy the
Live Free or
popcorn.
Die Hard. Okay.
It's nice a movie, quiet and story and acting.
Good.
All right.
Thanks, Arch.
No explosions.
Still ahead, unbelievable pictures as firefighters try to rescue a man from a burning building. We'll show you what happened when he suddenly lost his grip from the scene here.
And some researchers are calling for a powerful, popular sweetener to be pulled from the market. We'll explain next on ABC 7 News.
Once again, aspartame is in the headlines once again because of its possible link to causing cancer. Food lobbyists point to hundreds of studies that say the artificial sweetener is completely safe. But why does the Center for Science in the public interest, want it pulled from the market? Medical reporter Kathy Fowler joining us now with that story. Kathy?
Leon, tonight, CSPI is asking the Food and Drug Administration to immediately review an aspartame study which found the sweetener is linked to an increase in cancer. The so-called food police have been on the sidelines for much of this nearly 30-year-old debate, but they say there is now enough evidence to warn the public not to use the sweetener.
Aspartame is in thousands of everyday foods at the grocery store. If you see the words diet or low in sugar on the food or drink, chances are it contains the artificial sweetener. There is a new aspartame study out of Italy backing up another study done in 2005 showing a statistically significant increase in lymphomas and leukemias in rats.
There's a law that says if a food additive causes cancer in animals, it has to come off the market. And I think now with the second study done by a respected lab, published in a peer-reviewed journal, the evidence is there to get it off.
A former National Cancer Institute scientist who now consults with the American Beverage Association says this current study is flawed.
The study is wrong. It completely contradicts a very recent study done by the National Cancer Institute that showed that over 500,000 people using aspartame had no increased incidence of cancer.
CSPI's Michael Jacobson says Splenda is the only artificial sweetener that appears safe in the lab, but warns the only long-term safety studies on it have been conducted by the manufacturer.
Now, the FDA says to date, all of the evidence supports aspartame is safe. The federal agency is in the process of examining this latest study, but says it's too soon to comment. To get more information on this study and a full statement from the food industry and the FDA, you can log on to our website at WJLA.com. Kathy Fowler, ABC 7 News.
Thanks, Kathy. It was a close call for a Chinese man after he fell from his burning apartment building. The dramatic rescue was caught on tape. Firefighters rescued the man from his fourth-floor apartment in Shanghai today. Minutes later, he tried to reach the ladder and slipped. The man fell 2 stories and hit a metal pole before he was caught by a safety harness with his pants caught on the ladder. He wasn't injured. Officials blamed the fire on careless smoking. Investigators are looking for the cause of a fire on Atlantic City's boardwalk. The blaze damaged part of the New Jersey Casino Control Commission headquarters. Those offices are closed today. The fire destroyed a building across the street, but no one was hurt.
A Utah prisoner is back in jail after he allegedly fatally shot a corrections officer and escaped. Curtis Algier was at the University of Utah Medical Center for a doctor's appointment when police say he stole the officer's gun and then shot him to death. Well, he fled on foot then and carjacked an SUV. Officers captured Algier after a high-speed chase miles away at an Arby's restaurant. The suspect was imprisoned on a parole violation. A strike could hit 3 major supermarket chains in Southern California if contract talks continue to stall with the unions there. Workers from Ralph's, Albertsons, and Vons grocery stores voted to authorize the strike this weekend. They protested in front of several stores demanding better wages and health insurance.
A relative of Anne Frank has donated thousands of family photos and documents revealing more details about the life of the Dutch teenager who died in a concentration camp. Frank's cousin, Bernard Elias, decided to permanently lend the items to the Anne Frank house in Amsterdam. The donation marks the 60th anniversary of the first publication of the Diary of Anne Frank. The paparazzi are on high alert in Los Angeles as Paris Hilton nears the end of her prison term. The sheriff's department says Hilton won't be released until tomorrow. She has spent more than 3 weeks behind bars for driving on a suspended license and violating her probation on drunk driving charges.
One of France's biggest attractions reopened to the public today after a 3-year renovation. Tourists now can enjoy the Chateau of Versailles' Hall of Mirrors, the castle's crown jewel. Officials say 70% of the more than 350 mirrors there date back to the 17th century. A French construction company paid for the $16 million renovation. French King Louis XIV once entertained guests and diplomats there in that beautiful hall.
Gordon Peterson is here with us. Some big news from the Supreme Court today.
Yeah, Louis could throw a party, I'll tell you. Bong hits for Jesus. That's what the Supreme Court was talking about today. Before it went into, took the summer off, basically. This ruling is going to get a lot of attention. There's the sign. Does it interfere with students' freedom of speech? Coming up at 6, we'll tell you how one student's sign and his suspension will affect schools and students around the country. Also, we're going to look at the High Court's other rulings coming up at 6.
Busy day at the court.
All right,
Thanks.
good
See you
deal.
then, Gordon.
See you just a bit.
And let's go to Joe Whitty. What's it like out there now, Joe?
Yeah, we've got a busy situation for the folks in Clark County right now. We have a severe thunderstorm warning posted for those folks. And let's take a look at our live Super Doppler radar and you see why. We've got a very big thunderstorm there. Could be some gusts for up to 60 miles an hour from the storm. There was quite a bit of lightning with it. Right now it looks relatively quiet lightning-wise. And we could see some hail, penny-sized hail is a possibility here. This storm is drifting east at about 10 to 15 miles an hour. And that storm wasn't there about a half hour ago. It sort of developed in front of the one that's off to the west of Winchester at the present time. So we'll have to track this situation during the next few hours and see what else pops up ahead of this system or behind this system. And let's take a look at what we have for weather bugs around the area, temperature-wise. Sterling now 85 degrees and winds only 14 miles an hour. Nothing in the rain bucket there yet, but possibility later on this evening. Checking a few of the other weather bug sites, we see temperatures are on the hot side. We see Columbia at 87 degrees. Winchester, with that thunderstorm, has cooled down to 74 degrees. 87 degrees at Barnesville. Arlington, 87 degrees. So it's warm, it's humid, and check out the dew points. We're in the upper 60s and 70s, and that says this is very tropical air. The net result is, here's what it feels like to your skin. Barnesville, it feels like 93 degrees, and in Arlington, it feels like 92 degrees. Let's check our graphic system. I'll show you that we do have a wake-up weather condition of 73 muggy degrees tomorrow, and in the afternoon up to 90 degrees. It's going to stay hot and humid, and as you can see in the 7-day forecast, temperatures are going to stay this way through Thursday, and then Friday, finally we get a break with a chance of some passing thunderstorms and a cool front, hopefully cooling us down to where we ought to be this time of the year. But hey, thunderstorms, hot and humid weather in June, it's summer in the D.C. area, no doubt about that. Much more in a few minutes. We'll see you then.
All right, thanks, Joe. You know, rain usually is a factor at Wimbledon, which got underway today.
That's right. There was actually some rain today, but Roger Federer got his match in, and it's typical Roger. Roger Federer is great no matter where he plays, but especially at Wimbledon. At the All England Club, Federer has won 29 straight matches, including 4 titles in a row. Today, Federer in the far court started his quest for championship number 5. He was taking on Tamiris Gabashvili of Russia. It wasn't much of a match. Federer won in straight sets, 6-3, 6-2, 6-4. Federer is trying to become the first player to win 5 straight Wimbledon titles since Bjorn Borg did it from '76 to 1980. Wizards forward Caron Butler is one of the best players in the NBA, but Caron found out throwing a baseball isn't as easy as making a jump shot. Butler threw out the first pitch in yesterday's Nationals game. For Caron, it was not one of his finer moments. This afternoon, Caron Butler couldn't escape the inevitable.
I was trying to avoid y'all because I knew y'all wasn't going to ask me that.
Yesterday, Butler was on top of the world, getting ready for his first pitch.
I try to psych myself up. I got the crowd involved.
Wizards PR assistant Darren Jenkins helped Butler warm up.
About 60 miles per hour on a radar gun, threw a couple balls over my head. Thought he was fine.
I guess I got nervous when I got up to the mound and everything.
The pitch itself, it was more like a bounce pass.
Threw a dud. It was a dud ball, man. It was horrible.
The Nationals killed him when he came by the dugout. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Always big on second chances, we at ABC 7 Sports asked Caron if he'd like to redeem himself.
I will.
And with that, Caron's pitch, the sequel, complete with the pre-throw hype and everything except for the 30,000 or so fans. After a few warm-up tosses on the Verizon Center floor, Caron declared himself ready to make amends.
There it is.
A perfect strike, especially compared to yesterday's really wild pitch.
I had a good time out there. You know, my family really enjoyed it, and we got a big laugh out of it.
Look at that smile. I'll say this about Caron. He is such a good sport about it.
He is.
He's got to throw with more arm, though. It's all kind of wrist there.
He needs to study that video and just see where he, could improve.
Yeah, keep watching those Nationals games.
She can do better than that. I've seen her.
I have done better than that. Sorry, Caron.
Just tell the truth.
I'm available for lessons. Up next on ABC 7 News at 5, a local post office is renamed to honor 2 men who lost their lives in Iraq.
And family members share their stories coming up next here on ABC 7.